So let's jump right in. So here's the deal. As you've seen so far in SEO That Works, link building is relatively simple when you know how to find pages where your link adds value. And that's why finding those pages is the focus of the link building phase of the SEO That Works system. Now, at this point, because you already have a power page on your site, link building is as simple as sending off emails to the people that run those pages. But what if there was another way to find awesome white hat link building opportunities that convert even better than content curator link building and some of the other strategies that you learn about in this module? Well, there is actually, and it's called renovation link building. So what is renovation link building and why does it work so well? Well, renovation link building leverages something called the law of reciprocity. And the law of reciprocity basically says when you do something for someone, they feel obligated to pay you back, right? You've probably heard of this before. And make no mistake, this feeling of reciprocity is extremely powerful. So it's simple, right? Right. Now, before I break down exactly how you're going to use reciprocity to get links, let me tell you a quick story. Renovation link building is actually so powerful and effective that I plan content around this strategy. For example, you may have seen the definitive guide to keyword research that I published at Backlinko a while back. And the number one reason that I actually created this guide, which was super expensive and complicated to design and code, was due to the fact that I noticed that the Google Keyword Tool changed to the Google Keyword Planner. And I knew that thousands of sites still linked to the old Google Keyword Tool, which made their link technically work, right? It still went somewhere, but it was out of date. And I landed a link on a page authority 63 page using a renovation link building strategy, in addition to a number of other links using renovation link building. So strategy number one of renovation link building is outdated content hunting. And this is one of my all-time favorites because it's very creative and it works great. So outdated content hunting basically combines broken link building, which you'll learn about in a bit, with guest posting. So how? Well, with outdated content hunting, you find content that's out of date and then you offer to update that content. So why does it work so well? Well, it opens the doors to a lot of link building opportunities that you wouldn't be able to find or take advantage of otherwise. So that's great because eventually, as you go through these strategies, you'll find yourself, eventually over time, kind of running low on opportunities, running low on finding these pages that you can build links from. Well, with outdated content hunting, it opens up kind of a whole new world of opportunities where you can build some great links. And because the level of value that you bring to the table is so much more than what you'll do with broken link building or the moving method or other strategies you'll learn about in this lesson, your conversion rate is really, really high. And also, just keep in mind that although it does combine an element of guest posting, outdated content hunting isn't guest posting. You don't have to worry about getting dinged by a penalty by doing some sort of spammy guest posting. And you'll see what I'm talking about in a minute. So let's break it down step by step. So step number one is to find content in industry that might be obsolete or outdated. And here are two tactics to do just that. First, just grab a link creator site and pop it into Google using the site : search string. And what that does is it shows you all the index pages on that particular site. So for example, if you use site:/backlinko.com, you'll see all the pages at Backlinko. Simple. Now remember, your goal here is not just to find all the pages on a site, it's to find outdated content. And to do that, click on this search tools feature that Google has and just choose a date range from back in the day. And that'll show you content from within that time period. I like to use content that's between 1 and 3 years old. I find that any older than that, and you just wind up with really old content that you can't even salvage, and any less than a year, and the content's still pretty good. So you can play around with these dates and see what works for your industry. Every industry is a little bit different. Now the second strategy is just to search for keywords in Google and use the same date range functionality that Google has. So for example, for my keyword research guide, I just search for keyword research and then set the date range so it shows content that's 1 to 3 years old. So that's limiting the results to content that's 1 to 3 years old. Now, once you've got your results, now it's time to go through the top 30 or even the top 50 results in Google and identify outdated content that you find. Now, this is a bit of, this is some hard work, I'm not gonna lie, but it's worth it. So what you're doing here is checking each piece of content one by one to see if there's something in the content that isn't accurate anymore. Now, if the one thing that's not good is a broken link or a link to an outdated resource, you can save that page, put it aside, and it'll be better for the 2 other strategies that you'll learn about in this lesson. But if you find that just a good chunk of the content just needs a refresher, then this is perfect. So with outdated content, you're not just finding these broken links or outdated links, but you're actually looking for sections of the content that are out of date and need an update. So for example, keyword research guide. So like I said, I created this guide mainly because I knew it would open up a lot of renovation link building opportunities. And when I searched for keyword research in Google and set the date range from 1 to 3 years, I found a page authority 51 page that was ranking number 17 in Google. And it didn't just simply link to the old Google keyword tool. If that was the case, it'd be better for something like the moving man method, which you'll learn about. It actually had a mini tutorial on how to use it. So the principles in the article were accurate, but that part of the article, that little tutorial, happened to be out of date. Now here are other examples of outdated content to keep an eye for. So I'll just list them here. I also have them in the worksheet. So they're basically things that you look for, that you look through the content, you just see something that looks out of date and could easily be updated by you. Now step number 3 is to offer to update the content for that person. And here's where you're adding just a lot of value, and in exchange you're getting a great link. So instead of just letting them know about an outdated link, you give the person a heads up about their outdated content, and then you offer to update the article for them. Here's the email script that I like to use. You basically say you found it, and you can create an updated version of the article. Let me know if you want to check it out. Now, then you just want to create the updated content. So once you hear back from them that say, sure, send it over, you want to get going and get cracking on the updated article. Fortunately, this doesn't require a lot of work. You just need to identify the section of the article that's outdated and then make an updated version and leave the rest of the article as is, because it's probably pretty good, right? You don't want to mess with it too much. So looking back at the keyword research guide, the outdated content that I found from Orbit Media, this was an excellent piece of content. There was nothing really wrong with it. The only flaw was this mini tutorial that was out of date because the tool didn't exist anymore. So I simply sent over a new version with that section updated for the new Google Keyword Planner. That way they could easily copy and paste the new content into the article and leave the rest as it was. So if the outdated content that you find tends to mention the outdated element throughout the entire article, so if it's not just one section, it just mentions something outdated over and over and over again, you can simply send an entire updated article for them to copy and paste with those parts replaced with something new. So no big deal. Either way, you want to embed a link to your site in your updated article. And if you don't, the person will usually still link back to you, but it'll be something like, thanks to Brian Dean from Backlinko for updating this article, and you get a link to your homepage. Nothing wrong with that. But ideally, you want a contextual link back to your Power Page, right? So try to squeeze in a link that looks natural and adds value to the post that you just updated. So back to our keyword research guide. I wrote about keyword research, and I listed a few brainstorming ideas, and I linked to my keyword research guide, which had even more ideas. That way, if people wanted even more brainstorming strategies, they knew where to go and they had a link. So the link made sense. It wasn't spammy. You can see the anchor text is here, and it fit right into the article. Now, it's a win for me because I get a link. The author of the post is a win because he gets an updated piece of content for free, and anyone that reads it gets some value because they're reading something up to date, and they also have a link to a Power Page. So it's all good. So strategy number 2 is broken link building. And as you've seen with outdated content hunting, a lot of people aren't diligent about updating their old content. They kind of publish it, let it collect dust, and it gets out of date. And that's even true for really big authoritative sites. But that means that not only is their content often out of date, but their links are out of date as well. And with broken link building, all you're simply doing is letting the site owner know about those broken links and then offering your link as a replacement. Simple. Now, it sounds simple, and it is in theory, but the tricky part is finding these broken links at scale because it can be very difficult. Now, fortunately, over the years of using this strategy, I've developed a number of techniques that make it pretty simple, and I'll lay those out for you right now, step by step. So let's break down the process. Step number 1, obviously, is to find broken links. Now, this is really the only complicated part of the strategies. Here are the 3 techniques that make it easy. First is the manual approach. Now, even though this technique is tedious, I tend to have the most success with it, and it works well for me. Plus, it's something that you can very easily outsource. So first, what you want to do is use search strings that bring up pages that have lots of links, like resource pages, which you learned about in content curator link building, because more links equals more potential broken links, which equals more links for you. Can't get better than that, right? So these search strings include things like resource page search strings, but also ultimate guide search strings, and even embedded resource page search strings. So these are things where people kind of put a couple lists of resources within a piece of content. So the mini resource page is like this. This is a kind of example of what I just said. So you can see that there's a related links and it links out to some related resources. A lot of articles have that. So it's not really a resource page per se, but it's kind of like a mini resource page in the content. It's perfect for broken link building. So once you've found one of these pages, you want to run the Google Chrome extension Check My Links. It quickly analyzes the page and identifies any broken links that it finds. So technique number 2 is a site-by-site approach. And with this technique, you take a link creator site and you pop them into Ahrefs or the Screaming Frog SEO spider tool. Now, I prefer Ahrefs because it's web-based and it's just easier to use, but you can use either one and both work the same way. You want to grab the homepage URL of a site you want to link from and then pop it into the tool, so like backlinko.com. And then you want to search for broken links in Ahrefs or 404 pages in Screaming Frog. The same thing, they both show you broken links that are linking out from that site. And it'll show you all the broken outbound links very quickly. Now the force multiplier approach is the last technique, and this takes it from like this one-by-one system, from page by page or site by site, to a very scalable process. So here's how it works. What you want to do is grab the URL of one of the broken links you found using approaches 1 and 2. So you're not grabbing the site or you're not grabbing a page, you're grabbing the URL of a broken link. And what you do is you pop that into Ahrefs or Majestic SEO or whatever, and that will show you all the pages that are linking to that broken link. For example, here's a broken link I found on Backlinko using Ahrefs. It's a status search. Okay, so this is a broken link on one of my pages. Now, you could just reach out to me and let me know about that broken link and pitch your own using the script I'll show you in a minute. But you can open up a lot of other link building opportunities by seeing who else links to that 404 page, that broken link. Now, in the case of the status search broken link, there are 75 total pages that have a link pointing to that page, which would be great opportunities to reach out to them. Okay, step number 2 is to send your broken link building outreach email. Now, once you've identified a page with a broken link, you just really have to get the site owner to delete the broken link and add yours. Now, after a lot of testing, I've found that you can maximize your conversion rate with this strategy using a 2-step email outreach process. So here's how it works. First, what you want to do is send this email called the feeler, and you can see this here. Basically, it just says, I found your site and I found a couple dead links. Do you want to see them? Now, it's not very personalized. It doesn't really have a lot going in terms of, having a lot of personality in it either. And that's usually an outreach no-no in my book. But in the case of broken link building, because you're going to just come across so many potentially abandoned sites and pages, it doesn't make sense to spend a lot of time personalizing emails to people who may not even see it. The goal of the first email is just to see if that person is alive and to see if they care enough to get back to you. And if they do, then you can wow them with this second email. And here's a second email, and you can see how much value you're providing here. You're providing the broken links, what type of error you found, and then a replacement URL if available. So you're adding a ton of value, so when they get back to you, they're going to be like, wow. And then you very subtly pitch your site. And I'll, of course, have these scripts for you in the worksheet. Now, if your page is a one-to-one replacement for the dead link, you can just include your power page as the replacement URL. So you see the replacement URL here. You can just put your power page there. But, and not obviously say, also I published something about topic because you already have that there. But in many cases, the broken link just won't be a perfect fit for your power page. And it's actually no big deal because the broken link gives them a heads up that there's something wrong with their page, right? And it gets your foot in the door, and it gives you that law of reciprocity that I talked about. Also, because they're already in there updating the page, they think, I might as well add the link, right? I'm in there updating this link. I might as well add this guy's link. It looks like a great resource. Now, if you prefer to forget this whole 2-step process, I'll have a script for a more direct pitch that identifies the broken links and pitches them in the same email in the worksheet. And that also works well, but not as well as a 2-step approach. So let's look at an example of broken link building in action from my Gesto Graphics Hero Formula power page. So you might have seen this already. Now, using the manual approach, I found a few broken links on a page authority 57 page about infographic marketing. First, I reached out using the feeler email. So you can see it here. Let me know if you want to see the broken links. And when they got back to me and said, yes, please let me know about the broken links, Then I sent them the second email that blew their mind, right? So this is the one that has the errors and the list of links. And I also gave a very soft pitch for my power page. And because I added value and had a high quality power page to offer, they happily added my link to the page. No worries. And you can see the live link right here. Okay, moving on to strategy number 3, our last strategy of renovation link building, the moving man method. So as I mentioned earlier, the change from the old Google Keyword Tool to the new Google Keyword Planner was basically the best opportunity I had in terms of link building for this keyword research guide. But here's the deal. Links pointing to the Google Keyword Tool still technically worked, and they still do. For example, here's what happens when you run Check My Links, the Chrome extension I talked about earlier, on a page with a link pointing to the old Google Keyword Tool URL. You can see that it shows that it's still working. And the reason for that is because it's not a 404 page. It's not technically a broken link. It just redirects to an AdWords login screen. So why is this important? Well, although broken link building and outdated content hunting work great, as you'll see if you try them, they don't cover all of the potential renovation link building opportunities that are out there for you. So no matter what industry you happen to be in, just like with the Google Keyword Tool, there are a lot of links out there and related to your industry that technically work but are outdated for one reason or another. And sometimes these opportunities are actually better than what you find using some other strategies. Now, if you want to tap into these opportunities, stay tuned because I'm going to walk you through the entire process of the moving man method step by step right now. So first, you need to find these outdated links. And remember, these links aren't 404 pages, so you can't use the strategies that you use for broken link building. So you'll need to take a different approach to uncover them. Here's how to do it. The first technique is to find outdated links in old content. So this is really similar to how we approach outdated content hunting. All you do is search for keywords that describe your Power Pages topic, set the date range from 1 to 3 years, just like you usually do. Now, instead of looking simply for outdated pieces of content, which you can also look for that at the same time, you're looking for outdated links. So these are links that are technically working, but are outdated for one reason or another. And this isn't as hard as it might sound. You just need to click on any link that looks like they might point to an outdated, old, or non-functional resource. You just don't want to click on every link because it'll take forever. But if just something looks old or you recognize it as an old thing, you can click on it and see how it goes, like this one, for example. So like I said, even though the Google Keyword Tool shut down a long time ago, there are still a lot of articles that link to the old tool. And as I went through the article, I couldn't use a tool to find links to the Google Keyword Tool. I had to actually see that it said, oh, it links to the old Google Keyword Tool. It doesn't exist anymore. I know that's a great moving man method opportunity. So technique number 2 is just to use search strings that can bring up great moving man method link building opportunities. Just add your keywords to these terms. So this brings up directly pages online that are outdated. So service not available, page no longer exists, You can see them here. I'll obviously have them in the worksheet. Now you'll find pages that are still technically working, but don't provide value anymore for one reason or another. Technique number 3 is called an ear to the ground approach. And this isn't as tactical as most of the others. This isn't really like use a search string, but it's a more general approach with how you want to view your industry news from now on. And now that you know about the moving man method and how it works, you can think about changes in your industry and how they might open up moving man method opportunities. So for example, I heard about the Google Keyword Tool changing to the Google Keyword Planner from a news report from Search Engine Land. So I didn't click on a link and find it. I wasn't hunting for it. I was just reading an article. I read that, and because I knew about the moving man method, I was like, bingo, this is going to be a great opportunity. Now, usually I just read that article and move on to the next one, but I had kind of my radar set for moving man method opportunities, so I turned this into a lot of great links. Now, technique number 4 is the force multiplier, just like you learned about broken link building, but it's a moving man method version. It works exactly the same way. You just want to take your URL of the outdated resource instead of a 404 page, and then you want to put it into Ahrefs. So for example, when I learned about the change to the Google Keyword Tool, I grabbed all the URLs, pointed to the old tool, and put it into Ahrefs, and found dozens of pages that linked to the old tool. Very simple. And step number 2 is just to reach out to the people that you just found. So once you found a page that has a link to an outdated resource, you just want to give the person who runs that page or that site a quick heads up. And just like with broken link building, you can use a 2-step process or a direct ask. Both, as I said, work well, but I prefer the 2-step process. Now, I use both approaches for my keyword research tool campaign, but I want to show you a quick example of what a direct ask script looks like and why it works, as opposed to a two-step process. So, basically it starts off the same. I was looking for topics and I found your article, and you want to say you found outdated resource. So instead of a broken link, you found outdated resource, and you do need to provide a very brief reason about that, why that resource doesn't provide value. So you can't obviously say it's a 404 page because it's not. You just want to give a little reason. And then you give them a heads up so they can replace it with something newer. That can be something on your site, or usually it's something else. And then you say, I recently published something about whatever, and it might make a nice addition to your page. Done and done. Now here's a real life example from that campaign, how I use the movie man method. You can see I used almost this exact script and sent them a link to my keyword research guide, and this was a direct ask. So step number 3 is to get these nice contextual links from your outreach. And because you provide value twice, first by your pointing out a really hard to find outdated link that's usually a pain for people to find. They can't even use broken link checkers to find it. And second, by showing them your awesome power page, you'll find that people are more than happy to link to you. So here's a response I got from the email that I just showed you. You can see that he added an update and included a link to your new article. Done. It was very easy. I used it one email and I got a great link. So that's all there is to renovation link building. I hope you can see how many great opportunities this opens up for you and for your SEO campaign. So if you're ready to get started, download the worksheet